Hello, guys. Welcome back to the Caramel Sportscast. I am your host, Steven Avalos, alongside my dad
Hello.
and my good friend, Marissa Dorr.
Hi.
And today we're going to be going over some topics talking about football in the NFL and college and go over how we did last week with our picks and make our picks for this week. So, starting things off here, kind of want to talk about this new thing that the NFL is trying to implement. Marissa, would you like to go over that for us?
Right. According to ESPN, they came out with an article yesterday. Um, the NFL owners finalized a 10-month discussion where they decided to add incentives for hiring minorities and in positions of head coaches and general managers. So, what the NFL is trying to do is say, for example, the 49ers hire somebody, a minority, and they develop them to become a head coach or a GM, and eventually that person gets hired by the Raiders. So, because they got hired by another organization and they're going to become a head coach or GM, the Niners will end up getting a third round draft pick because they, I guess, allowed for more diversity in the NFL. I think what the NFL and the owners are trying to do, I think they mean well. You obviously have kids watching on TV and maybe they don't want to be football players. Maybe they want to be head coaches or general managers. And it'd be nice to see somebody in that position that looks like you. So I get that what they're trying to do and it means well. But I do think it's, I guess, a little sad that they have to reward teams for doing this instead of maybe just having teams do it on their own, hiring people that fit the position and instead just trying to get rewarded for something.
Yeah, it should be forced. This
And
this seems like a more forced. Okay, we need a certain number of people of color or different races to fill in a job description. Um,
And one thing I was thinking about is that like, I wonder what it feels like to be the hiree, because like, I bet they get some accusation of like, oh, you only got this job because
oh yeah,
of diversity. Like, you see people like nowadays, like, not trying to bring this into a totally different discussion, but how many times like people accuse others of like, oh, I lost my job because of this or that. So you go, you know what I'm trying to say?
yeah.
Yeah, it shouldn't have to become this way. It should be about like, who fits the role the best. But of course, throughout history, many people have also lost a job because of, of a lack of diversity. Because people like didn't want that at the time, which of course, that's wrong. And the times are changing, and so should the sports industries. But it shouldn't have to take an incentive to get people to be pushed into making these decisions for
Yeah.
their
Well,
teams.
what we were talking about earlier about Larusa, he's 70 something, 73,
Yeah,
something like that.
he's up there, 76, I think.
Yeah, 76, whatever. He's an old man. Okay, bring some young blood in there, new ideas, instead of having this guy, grow old on the bench.
Yeah, and then plus they got the controversy was him like already having a DUI, which the White Sox already said they knew about, and they said, oh, we don't care, we
Yeah,
want him anyway, and like it it's a big mistake on their part. It's funny that their former manager was a nominee or a finalist for manager of the year, even though he didn't even make it. What else did that happen? There was some other sport where that happened too, where someone got fired and they, I think, got coach of the year. Either way, we'll just move on from this. Anyone else have anything to say about the topic?
no, we'll get on to it as this develops here. We'll
Talk about it,
we'll
yeah.
talk about it more.
So something else we gotta discuss here, big elephant in the room is the Notre Dame and Clemson game.
Yeah. As soon as looked at the stands, I said, so much for social distancing because there was supposed to, as far as I knew, there was supposed to be 25% filled stadiums.
That did not look like 25%.
That looked more like 60 to 70% filled.
Yeah, and just the way college football has handled the coronavirus in general has been so poor. Like the way they've been stacking the stadiums as if like, they make sure to have gaps side to side, but not up and down, which is like you think the virus is just gonna stop. Like they don't know how to go up and down. Like it's just, oh man, and
And
way too many people. The fact that the coach had to tell his players, the Notre Dame coach had to tell players to get into the locker room immediately if they won. That way the crowd doesn't jump in. Is a big concern because why isn't there a statement made like something just to stop them from doing that in the first place? Like and for the students to do that in general, to not have the common sense to just say, hey, maybe I should just stay out of this. I should
Well,
just be happy that we beat Clemson.
well, unfortunately, the young college crowd, they think they're invincible, and they don't give a crap. As we saw at the end of the game when the field was flooded with fans. I mean, literally thousands upon thousands of fans, so close together, packed like sardines.
And the same applies to the players as well. They're just as young as the college kids are. They're all attending the same school, and you can tell that, even if there weren't any fans there, they still have a problem being healthy as well. You got LSU and Alabama that got canceled this week. Cal might have 2 straight games without playing a single game. They haven't started the season yet because they have a positive test and players have been quarantined. So I just wonder, like, how is this going to go from now on? Like, are they going to keep going? Because it just seems like they can't be on the same level as the NFL is, especially with players.
Yeah.
So, Marissa, you were mentioning about bowl games earlier.
Yeah, I'm just wondering how the COVID's gonna affect the bowl games. That's a pretty big event, and it brings in a lot of money. So I know they're probably gonna try to get it in no matter what, but I don't know how it's gonna work with all the traveling, and I just feel like I guess the regulations for college are a lot,
Lax.
yeah, compared to the NFL.
Yeah,
So
especially because like players aren't treated the same, especially because like it's televised a bit more than NFL. There's a lot more games. The schools make a lot of profit off of this, but players get nothing. And you
They
imagine
get
what it's like
sick.
for, yeah, basically they're just risking their lives out there for a chance to make it to the NFL if they stay healthy and if they have the skills.
I don't think they put enough thought into the whole college football thing when they decided to start playing again.
Well, that's always been the problem with college sports is that like should athletes be getting paid or should they be getting more recognition? Should there be more of a players association, like more like union stuff involved for the players? And I definitely think there should be. I know like there'd be a lot of obstacles to go over trying to establish that, but if you already have something like that, the situation right now would be much better than it is currently.
Yeah.
I think. So, any other comments? All right. So now we're going to go into our picks. So to recap how we did last week, I was 10-4 straight up, 7-7 against the spread. I'm slowly making my baby steps into getting back into being good against the spread. It's been a bit of a struggle this year. Marissa was 9-5 straight up, 8-6 against the spread. Dad, you were 11-3 straight up, but 7-7 against the spread.
Yeah, I went with some underdogs there.
The spread has been getting a lot harder to like choose
Well,
as this year goes on. But of course, that's football. It's any given Sunday.
yeah, yeah. So many wishy-washy teams.
All right, Dad, go ahead.
This week number 10, we have Indianapolis at Tennessee. Tennessee is giving up 2.5 points. Indianapolis is 5-3. Tennessee is 6-2.
All right, so this one, first off, finally we get a pretty good matchup here for Thursday night football. Thursday night football has always been a bit of a laughing stock in the NFL. Just a bunch of bad matchups, but I really like this one here. Divisional matchup. These teams are one game apart from each other for the lead in the division, and it's a really close one here because Indianapolis, they've been playing really well, although you can say that Philip Rivers is holding them back with his play. I gotta say that was pretty funny watching him try to stop the one fumble return. You ever seen that, Dad?
On his back, yeah.
Yeah,
Flailing on his back
it's like trying
like
to get his
like a
arms up.
turtle.
Yeah, it was pretty funny, but for the Indianapolis fans, they probably did not find that as funny because that really contributed into them losing.
Old
And
man Phil.
yeah, they got a great team overall, but they really need to get someone younger at quarterback. But they're not going to do that this year. There's no way they're going to just sit out someone who's on a $25 million deal. So they're going to roll with him, and then you got Tennessee here, who played much better than I was expecting against Chicago. I thought Chicago was going to have a chance to cover against them with their defense, but Chicago's offense just keeps disappointing day in and day out. They just like you could give them anyone, and they make they make it look so much harder than it is. Like a first down looks so difficult with them. But anyway, on to Tennessee, they did their job, and AJ Brown, he's a great wide receiver. He didn't get that many yards, but he got a great touchdown against the Bears. Tannehill, not throwing too much, but as long as you have Henry there, you just gotta give him the ball and he'll produce.
Right, he didn't even do that much last week.
It was enough to and their defense too for once did great. They had a nice defensive score on their own. And for this one, I'm having such a hard time choosing this game. Like that, what are your feelings on this?
I like Tennessee. Indianapolis, I thought would play tougher against Baltimore. They actually had a small lead early on,
Yeah,
and until Baltimore just like said, you know what, we're done playing with these guys,
yeah.
and just scored I think 24 straight points, or 17 I think straight points.
Yeah, I think 17. Although there was the one controversial play that many people were wondering like if it should have worked was the Marcus Peters interception where he had a really loose grip on the ball and lost it, and people wonder like is that an interception and a fumble or is that just a batted pass? And eventually they called it an interception. That really changed the direction of things as Baltimore was able to score off of that interception.
And let me get this out of the way as far as the reviewing process goes, because baseball has it where they go to a separate.
We go to New York.
They go to New York basically, and they listen to what they have to say. They're not looking at the reviews. He's got a bunch of guys with high def televisions and with all kinds of angles telling these guys, the umpires, what actually happened and whether it's safe or out. These bozos in the NFL still go underneath a little hoodie and try to look at the plays instead of being. It's so inane and so inept. So yes, I had to get that off my chest because you know what it is. They still get to play wrong. Yeah, they still make the wrong call, which is they spent a long time under there looking at this stuff.
Oh yeah.
Take it out of the hands of the officials. Have a reviewing booth or something like that that's off site, and they let the pros do their job instead of these bozos.
It gets the people who are nerds for the rule book.
Yeah. Anyway, had to get it off my chest. Next.
So we haven't even made our picks yet for this game. But you know what? Just because they're the home team, I'm gonna go with Tennessee to win and cover this one. I don't think it's gonna come down to like a 1 point or something like that. I think whoever wins will get enough. So Tennessee. That's gonna be my pick there. Marissa, where are you going?
Yeah, I'm going with Tennessee to win and cover as well.
And Dad?
I'm going clean sweep. Tennessee.
All right. Let's hope that works out for us. And this is gonna be important too, like at least like for you and me, Dad, because we are Raider fans, and Indianapolis is just out of the wild card spot, and they have the same record as the Raiders do, and them losing would be really helpful to the Raiders' playoff hunt.
Next, we have Jacksonville at Green Bay. Green Bay is giving up a whopping 13.5 points. Jacksonville is 1-7. Green Bay 6-2.
I believe his name is Jake Lund, the guy that filled in for Gardner Minshew last week. He did a very admirable job.
They were playing Houston.
Yeah, we're playing Houston. Although Deshaun Watson still is a great quarterback, and he is definitely grateful to still have Fuller on his team. But either way, enough about Houston for now. London was respectable. Almost put on a game-tying drive to make the game a lot closer than it was, or at least than I thought it would be. But either way, Green Bay here is still a great team overall. They've had a couple of hiccups, but they really just dominated the 49ers last week on Thursday Night Football. And there's no reason why to see that would stop anyway. Lazard might come back. You still got Devontae Adams. Aaron Jones should hopefully be healthier. They might be missing Jair Alexander. I know he dealt with, I believe, some sort of injury last week against the Niners. He's a really valuable cornerback, so hopefully he's back for them. But either way, I see Green Bay getting off to a really good start and not looking back. So Green Bay all the way.
I definitely have Green Bay winning. You know, I had to watch them embarrass the Niners last week. Ouch. Um, but I don't know. Part of me thinks it. I mean, I don't think it's gonna be a close game, but maybe not.
Do I hear upset, Marissa?
I don't know. I part of me wants to pick Jacksonville for the points. I don't know. Hmm.
So what happened when you put faith into the Jets?
13 points is a lot. 13 and a half.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I'll give you 14 points. What do you say there?
I'm gonna go Green Bay wins, Jacksonville covers.
Okay, there you go. Taking a
Such an
chance.
awful defense, though.
Just wait.
Don't try. She's been
Okay.
doing good against the spread. Okay. And
Yeah, losing record.
I'm going Green Bay. Green Bay. I think they're gonna kick their ass for 21.
All right, on to the next one.
We have Houston at Cleveland. Cleveland is giving up 2.5 points. Houston is 2-6. Cleveland is 5-3.
All right, so Cleveland here, this is going to be a big game for them. You know, they are just out of the playoff hunt as well, alongside Indianapolis. You know, you got 4 teams with the same record: the Raiders, Dolphins, Colts, and the Browns. So it's going to be a really tight race for all of those teams. And Cleveland, this is a must-win for them against Houston. Houston, they got a really poor defense, and their offense, you know, has been a little bit inconsistent at times, but I still believe in Deshaun Watson overall. He's still a great quarterback and someone that Houston needs to revolve their team around, build around. But you know, their management has just not been good. They recently fired their PR director, which has caused some criticism from inside of their team as well. So you wonder how that might play out. You know, I don't think it's going to affect their play, but could affect their future. But Cleveland here, Mayfield was put on the COVID list recently, so the chance of him playing are pretty small, I think. So
And who's their backup?
I believe that is Case Keenum there. He's a decent quarterback overall. He had one really good year with the Minnesota Vikings. That's really it. But you know, hey, if you have one good year, then you can have another. But overall, I'm actually going to go with an upset here. I'm going to go with Houston to win, and therefore cover on this one. Cleveland has just been a little too inconsistent. You know, whenever you put them against a decent teams like Cleveland, even though they are 5-3, they've beaten some really bad teams, and their games have been much closer than necessary, especially against the Bengals. You know, both their wins against them. You know, even though they won both games, they both came down to a really close one. You know, sure, like in the first one, Bengals, you know, only got close because it was a bit of a garbage time, but you know, Cleveland's defense was a bit exposed, and they should have lost their last game against each other, but you know, just really poor defense by the Bengals. But either way, what I'm trying to say is I think if you put a good offense against Cleveland, they could get exposed easily, and so I'm going to go with Houston to win, therefore cover. Marissa?
Yeah, you stole my thunder because I have the same exact pick. I was gonna go Houston winning and therefore covering as well. I don't know. I just don't think Cleveland's gonna be as strong without Mayfield, and I think they're not as good as their record states.
I'm gonna go with Cleveland if Mayfield plays. If Mayfield doesn't play, then I am gonna go Houston because of Case who? Just in they should just call him just in case because that's the only way he's gonna get on the field.
He has a family, you know.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Anyway, I'm going with Cleveland with Mayfield, Houston without. If I'm able to do that.
Yeah, I'll allow that. I even thought about stuff like that too. Like, you know, since like, you know, sometimes injury reports might indicate certain things that aren't final. So it's like, well, I don't want to make this choice right now if I don't know who's going to be available yet. But either way, we're fine.
Next, we have Buffalo at Arizona. Arizona is giving up 1.5 points. Buffalo is 7-2. Arizona 5-3.
So this is really interesting. You know, Buffalo, they are 7-2, but I feel like they haven't played as good as their record indicates. You know, they've had some easy ones. You know, they had to play the Jets twice. You know, that's a privilege that only so many people are able to afford.
They're 7-2. Their 2 losses have been bad losses.
Yeah, and they were really ugly ones. And even some of their wins are ugly too. You know, when they beat the Patriots 2 weeks ago, it came down to
The mighty Patriots?
Yeah, the mighty Patriots. It came down to a mistake by Cam Newton in the red zone. if he doesn't make that mistake, who knows? But either way, that's how football is. It's a game of inches. So many things can go right or wrong for either team. And anyways, Josh Allen, and I feel like he's really fallen down to earth, despite this game against Seattle, because Seattle is just horrendous against the pass. They are dead last against the pass. Just the only reason why I think their rushing defense is decent is because teams know to just pass the football more against them. Like it is just sad watching Seattle. The knowing that their Legion of Boom is no longer there. Something that they were praised for a lot. So a lot of inconsistencies. I'm really rambling on about this, but anyway, Kyler Murray in Arizona. I really like what he's been doing. He definitely wasn't the reason why they lost last week. Even though he did have that one fumble return for a touchdown. That was thanks to a good Miami defense, and their kicker missed a field goal that was short, a 49 field goal. Usually you miss it because it's off to the left or to the right, or it hits something.
Short?
Nope.
Not too often.
Yeah, really not very often. And I think Cliff Kingsbury does hold their offense back a bit with some of his conservative play calling. I think he's really got to let Kyler Murray let loose just a bit more. Let him run the ball, even though he did run the ball quite a bit. Just there's some small calls that they're making. You got to take a risk every now and then. Especially on fourth down, which I think really cost them. So I am going to go with Arizona here to win and cover. I think Josh Allen is going to be a little bit more consistent as he has been this year, and that's going to cost the Buffalo Bills. Marissa?
The Bills really surprised me last week. I sat Josh Allen on my fantasy team because I really didn't think he was going to perform well against the Seahawks. So he proved me wrong. So I'm actually going to go with the Bills to win this.
And Dad?
I'm going with Marissa here. I picked Buffalo to win and, of course, cover.
Okay, then. On to the next one.
Next, we have the Chargers against Miami. Miami has given up 2.5 points. Chargers are 2-6. Miami 5-3.
Man, this is going to be really interesting here. I feel so bad for the Chargers, because they just keep finding new ways to lose. Against the Raiders, they took a replay review to consider them a loser of that game because their third string tight end just was not able to hold on to the ball with the potential touchdown reception. And other times with blown leads, just bad management in the fourth quarter.
Young team.
Yeah,
it's gonna happen.
But they shouldn't fret too much about it because Herbert is legit. He is. I already said it last week, and I'll keep saying it again. Herbert is great. He's gonna do whatever he can to help this team try to win, but they haven't been able to win too much. They only got one win with Herbert so far this year, and they're going against a good Miami defense, though. So I think Miami's defense has been, heavily slept on so far this year. They are really good. They can score points themselves, too. So that's a big concern for any offense that goes against them. And Tua was really good. People thought, like, oh, maybe, as long as Tua just isn't a disaster, Dolphins can be good. No, Tua's good as well.
He's gonna do nothing but get better.
Yeah. So, the sky's the limit for him. So I'm going to go with Miami to win and cover here. I think this one is going to be, bigger margin on this one just because, Miami has a really good defense that can stop Herbert. So, yeah, Miami win and cover. Marissa?
Two a time. Yeah.
I think we know her pick.
Yeah. I like Miami. They're a good team overall. So Miami wins and covers.
And Dad?
I'm picking a clean sweep here, Miami. Everybody.
All right.
We have Washington at Detroit. Detroit is giving up 4 points. Washington is 2-6. Detroit 3-5.
All right. So, man, both these teams, I try to have some hope for them.
Alex Smith time. Alex Smith.
Oh, dude, I still don't get why they don't play Haskins. It just gets more and more ridiculous. Alex Smith does have a great story behind him, recovering from that horrific leg injury. But still, Haskins is better. That's the thing. And, the fact that this organization isn't willing to put him in is just shameful. Like, I wish that they traded him so that he can go to a team that would want him more. It's just really sad. I really feel bad for Haskins. I gave him crap last year for looking scared or not ready and such, but he had his promising moments, and he needs to be given another chance. But either way, they're gonna go with Alex Smith unless something happens to him as well, or
And
even then they might just have someone else who hasn't played quarterback ever fill in. They as he's like, oh, I'm ready. Like, no, 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 we'll put in someone else.
and Detroit's quarterback, is he back?
Who?
Detroit's quarterback?
Yeah, Matt Stafford played, and that might be why they did so bad because he was on the COVID list and missed practice. So, practice really affects someone. Some people just have a hard time understanding that practice.
Yeah, practice. You talking about practice?
But either way, here Detroit still has. I think if Stafford practices the whole week, Detroit's offense will be more,
In sync?
more in sync than they were last week. And so I'm going to go with Detroit to win and cover here. Washington, their defense is okay every now and then, but Alex Smith is going to hold his team back. Unfortunately, I hate to say that, but actually no, scratch that. Alex Smith isn't going to hold his team back. Ron Rivera is going to hold his team back with the decision to not play Haskins. So I want Detroit to win this one just to prove Washington wrong for not putting in Haskins.
Yeah, I don't know. I still can't understand why Washington won't play Haskins either. I like Alex Smith, but I'm gonna have to go with Detroit to win and cover this one.
Clean sweep, not a clean sweep. Everybody has Detroit.
So either we're all going to be in some glory with our picks, or we're all going to suffer together.
Together.
Yay. All right, on to the next one.
Philadelphia at New York Giants. New York Giants are getting 3 points. Philadelphia is 3-4-1. The Giants are 2-7.
Let's give it up for the AFC East. I mean, NFC East.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Woo-hoo.
I hate covering these teams. Either way, Philadelphia, they've been a little bit better, even though they just get to play horrible teams. Any other team in the NFC East would be doing so much better. Even the Jets might be able to get a win or two in this division. But either way, I'm going to go with Philadelphia to win and cover here. Daniel Jones just isn't good. Philadelphia's also coming off a bye as well, so that's going to help them out a bit, even though New York is at home, or even though they're in New Jersey. But either way, I'm going to go with Philadelphia to win and cover here. I really don't want to talk any more about this game. Marissa, go ahead.
Yeah, Philadelphia win and cover.
Yeah, Dad?
I'm going to go with the upset. I'm going with the Giants. Just for the hell of it.
Danny Dimes will prevail.
Who?
Danny Dimes. I don't know why they call him that. He can't throw a quarter.
I was going to say, once again, who? Okay, next on the board we have Tampa Bay at Carolina. Carolina is getting 6 points. Tampa Bay is 6-3. Carolina is the reverse at 3-6.
All right, so any given Sunday really applies to Tampa Bay here. Even though they do have a 6-3 record and have looked really scary at times, with especially a very promising defense and offense. Just completely loaded with weapons.
Yeah,
They have no excuse to lose as bad as they did. Rushing the ball only 5 times and losing by 35 points to the New Orleans Saints. Saints are a good team, but you got to challenge them, especially since they're in your division. And so, the whole game plan they had just was a disaster from the start. And I don't understand this team. They can kill someone in one game and yet get killed the next.
yeah, it
And
made no sense.
yeah. And Carolina, they played a really formidable game against the Kansas City Chiefs. They had a chance to win that game. They tried a 67-yard field goal, way out of line. But I do give them respect for making the game as close as it was. Chiefs have only lost one game this year, and they could have made that too, but they didn't. But they put in effort, and this is a really hard game to choose. I'm going to go with Tampa Bay here to win, but Carolina to cover. It's more of a contingency thing just because I'm so unsure on how either of these teams are going to do. So, for all we know, Tampa Bay will do what they did last time, especially, since Carolina isn't going to have McCaffrey. So watch out if you have McCaffrey on your lineup. Make sure you put him on the bench or IR. Actually, not IR. He's not on IR. So just put him on the bench for this week. But either way, that's my pick. Marissa?
Yeah, I have the same thing. I don't know. I don't know what's up with Tampa Bay. I don't know. They're just not consistent enough. Even though their record is 6-3, I'm gonna go with Tampa Bay winning, but Carolina covering.
Well, I did have this thing. In fact, I wrote it down before you guys even mentioned your picks. I wanted Tampa Bay, Carolina. But since you guys both picked Carolina, I'm going Tampa Bay and Tampa Bay to win to cover. Next, we have Denver at Las Vegas, and I hate even saying Las Vegas. So I'll just from now on you just hear me say the Raiders. Okay, Las Vegas is not in my vocabulary.
You just say the Raiders.
The Raiders. They are giving up 4 points to Denver. Denver is 3-5. Raiders are 5-3.
All right, so when I made my picks for how I expected the Raiders to be, through the first half of the season, I had them at 4-4, and even though 5-3 really is only one game off, they have been a much better team than I expected them to be. At least on offense, defense has been pretty disappointing overall, especially Corey Littleton and just Paul Gunther's schemes. But either way, there's a lot of credit that has to go to this offense, especially some of the acquisitions that they made that were really not looked at much, such as Nelson Aguilar from Philadelphia and Devontae Booker from Denver. Aguilar, he really had to step in for this team, with injuries to Henry Ruggs and Brian Edwards, and he, has done great. He's got 15 catches for 305 yards since week 2, and he's got 4 touchdowns to go with it. He's a really great deep threat for Carr, and Carr has shown a lot of trust in him, throwing such great passes to him, especially against the Chargers, that 45-yard touchdown, which gave a lot of momentum to the Raiders on offense. And, besides those two guys, Booker and Aguilar, Carr has been playing some of the best football I've ever seen him play. He has shown himself from like 2016, just turning back the clock, not afraid to throw the deep ball. Even though he didn't have that many yards, he got plays when they needed to be made.
Played smart.
Yeah, he played smart. He doesn't turn the ball over much. He's got 16 touchdowns and only 2 interceptions. He's on pace to have his first ever 30 touchdown pass season. And also maybe for yards, he's not on pace for the yards yet, but I'm sure that he'll get his games where he gets plenty of yards and surpasses career high in that as well. And he has been pretty fearless, especially running the ball. He's run the ball more than I've seen him run ever. He's on pace to have the most rushing yards ever as well. And that one running play against the Chargers where he just flipped over a defender, that was just so funny to watch. It reminded me of the cop's son in Simpsons, when he goes through a window. I don't remember his name, but, it makes me think of that. The way he also just has so much grace in it, too. He just, the only muscle going through his body when he was in the air was his arms, holding onto that ball. Everything else was just limp, which is just pretty funny to see. And, they're going against Denver here, who has been pretty disappointing so far. Locke hasn't been as good as people have said. And even though they did score 27 points, a lot of that came in garbage time against the Falcons because they were already getting completely crushed. And so I'm going to go with the Raiders to win and cover here. Denver's defense has just been, they're not horrible, but they're also just not good enough either.
It's not good enough.
Yeah. Raiders defense, they're going to take advantage of some of the throws that Drew Lock makes because Drew Lock is in the bottom 4 or bottom 5 of throw percentage on target. So they got to take advantage of him possibly missing his receivers and try and get the ball for themselves. They need to get more turnovers, so this is an opportunity for them to do that. They're at home. Carr, at least fantasy-wise, the average is about 24 points. So if you need a streamer, get Carr. And same for Jacobs too. And even though he's not a streamer, he's a first or second round guy in fantasy. But enough about fantasy. Raiders winning cover.
Before I make my pick,
Uh-oh.
Steven, are you writing anything about the Raiders right now?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. What happened?
Oh, so I did submit a sample article to the Raider Ramble, website that posts their own articles about the Raiders and even get featured on Bleacher Report every now and then, which is really nice. And I submitted something to them. I'm glad you mentioned that, Marissa. And they saw it, messaged me back, and they asked me if I could write something this week. I'm in the middle of that right now, and it's due tomorrow by the time this will be put out. And I'm almost done with it. I'm going to probably finish it tonight or in the morning. I'm going to be writing about Nelson Aguilar, the impact that he has made on the Raiders. And is he's the new Michael Crabtree? And is he?
All right, wish you luck on that.
Well, you'll find out when you read it. But yeah,
I'm sure it'll be very well thought out and intelligent.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. Having an article featured. Like it's exciting. So yeah.
Right on, dude.
Yes, congrats, Steven. Okay. Where's my pick? Oh yeah, so Vegas. The Raiders winning cover.
You picked me up just to throw me back down.
And we have a clean sweep on that. Everybody wants the Raiders.
Yeah.
Next, we have Seattle at the Rams. The Rams are giving up 1 point. Seattle is 6-2. Rams are 5-3.
All right, so this is going to be an interesting matchup here. The Rams have been pretty inconsistent on offense, but this is going to be a big chance for them, as we said. As I said, Seattle is just horrible defensively against the pass. So if you got Jared Goff, Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp on fantasy, please get them or please start them because they're going to eat away at Seattle. Seattle's defense is just so bad. And, even though Russell Wilson, he did lose himself a bit in the MVP conversation due to having a interception performance against the Bills.
Four turnovers, yeah.
Yeah. I think he's going to have a bit of a bounce back against the Rams, even though the Rams do have a nice defense as well. I think they're that great overall, but, I think they'll get the stops they need to when necessary. And I think they're just Seattle's defense is going to lose the game for him. It's not going to be Russell Wilson's fault, DK Metcalf's. It's just going to be all on defense. You even see Ken Norton Jr., the defensive coordinator for the Seahawks, former defensive coordinator for the Raiders, got fired from there. Fans in Seattle are already making a petition to get him fired because they have such a lack of faith in him, and I understand that because they're bad.
Got to produce.
Yeah. So, Marissa, what's your pick here?
I actually have Seattle winning and therefore covering.
Dad?
I got the same as Marissa.
All right, so I'm going lone wolf here on the Rams.
But you know what? Just like so many teams this year, the Rams, you don't know what team is going to show up. So
Any given Sunday.
But I am going with Seattle. I think they're a better team. I think Russell Wilson's going to be able to avoid any kind of hard pass rush by the Rams and find the open receivers. So I am going with Seattle. Next, we have San Francisco at New Orleans. New Orleans is giving up 9 points. San Francisco is 4-5. New Orleans is 6-2.
So, Marissa, since you are a Niner fan, would you like to go over some stuff about the Niners or anything? Any feelings you have? Any frustrations?
And because you are a Niner fan, I know you already want them to win and cover, right?
No.
Okay, please continue.
I want to forget that game. That game was pretty embarrassing. I don't know. Niners just look weak overall.
Yeah.
I don't know. I know they're missing key guys.
How many players are they missing altogether? What, 9, 10?
I think they were missing at least 8 from their offense
Oh,
alone.
yeah.
They are expecting Richard Sherman to come back, so that could help them a little bit. Maybe the Niners will cover from there.
I actually have.
Oh.
Can I do my pick or do you want?
You can go first since you're Niner.
Yeah, I actually have New Orleans winning and the Niners covering. We'll see. I don't know.
Well, even though I did make that comment earlier, I think I'm going to go with New Orleans winning and covering here. I just don't think Niners have enough to stop them. New Orleans has a great defense, mostly good defense overall. So, and a scary defensive line. Nick Mullins is going to be scared in the pocket. He's going to be running for his life.
Better time, maybe, please.
But not much I got to say. Breeze has been looking a lot better ever since he started the year. I got to say that. I actually wanted to make a hot take. I think this game is going to be a blowout. And not only that, because of that, Taysom Hill and Jameis Winston are going to have touchdown passes because
Cool take.
No, I think it's pretty hot. Because you want to give a guy like Drew Brees a little bit of rest. If they're already winning by a lot, you don't want to put too much on him. So you might want to have Jameis Winston in for a drive or two, and he'll get a touchdown pass.
And I'm going to quote a song from the Zombies, and that is, "Tell her no, 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 no." Yes, I want New Orleans. Okay.
Okay, so let's go into the next one now. I wasn't.
Please go on to the next one. You want to hear me singing?
All right.
We have Cincinnati and Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh has given up 9.5 points. Cincinnati is 2-5. Pittsburgh is 8-0 for the first time in team history.
Oh, the 2-5-1 actually. Yeah, my bad. I forgot to write that down on the thing, but that's okay.
Yeah, and that was a close call. Pittsburgh almost lost to Dallas. Almost lost to Dallas last week.
Yeah,
wow.
That was frustrating.
Yeah, but that's what that is. 9.5 points.
Yeah, I think the only people that made money on that game were diehard Cowboy fans that still believe that they are them boys. But either way here, Pittsburgh, they've really shown how they can embarrass some quarterbacks, especially Baker Mayfield. They just really embarrassed him when they played each other. And even though Cincinnati has been able to play pretty well, especially against Tennessee before their bye week, I just don't think they're going to have it against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh still has a really good defensive line, great defense overall. I think they're going to just manhandle Joe Burrow, even though he will have some decent plays every now and then. Burrow, he's got a horrible offensive line, but he still finds ways to put lots of great plays in. But they will be impacted by the possible loss of Ben Roethlisberger as he's on the COVID list, and they might have to go with Mason Rudolph. Last time Mason Rudolph, no, one of the last times I saw him play was the helmet incident against Myles Garrett in the Browns.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, even though they're not playing the Browns here, I just can't help but think of that when I see Mason Rudolph if he plays. But I'm gonna go with Pittsburgh to win, but Cincinnati to cover because I think they're just gonna find a way to keep it closer than necessary. Did you have that too?
Yes.
Like I said, we're either all gonna do great or we're all gonna suffer.
I guess so because I got the same thing. I got Pittsburgh to win, Cincinnati covering, especially if Roethlisberger doesn't play. It might be a little bit different story if he does play, but regardless, I'm gonna stick with the picks. So we all have Pittsburgh to win outright, and we all have Cincinnati covering.
Yep.
Next we have Baltimore at New England. New England is getting 6.5 points. Baltimore 6-2. New England 3-5. And fighting for their life.
Yeah. So New England, Marissa was so close to having such a nice take against New England, going with the Jets, but the Jets are gonna jet.
I hate the Jets.
Yeah, as you should. Everyone should. But either way, here, New England just really isn't that good of a team. Noon has been all right this year. He's been playing mostly bad, but he did have a bit of a bounce back only against the Jets though. And Baltimore has a really good defense, so there's not that much to really say here. I think Lamar Jackson will have a good game. Running game will be good, especially since they got Mark Ingram back, even though his snap count has been getting lower and lower with people like J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards getting some more touches. But either way, I'm going to go with Baltimore to win and cover here. Marissa?
I have Lamar Jackson on my fantasy team, and for some reason he's been pretty disappointing.
Yeah.
With points.
I have him also on one.
So I'm gonna go with Baltimore to win, but New England to cover.
New England, though, they're just not good. Okay.
And I'm going with Baltimore, and they're going to cover. I think it's going to be a bloodbath. Next, we have Minnesota at Chicago. Chicago is getting 2.5 points. Minnesota's 3-5. Chicago's 5-4.
I don't want to say that. I think Minnesota is a bit better than what their record says. They've put up some good fights. They should have beaten Seattle, which would make them 4-4. But either way, they are going to get Chicago, who's just ever since they got to a 5-1 start, they're on a 3-game losing streak. Their offense is awful, and Minnesota they have had a good offense. Dalvin Cook is looking like a number one running back in fantasy right now. He is just amazing, and so I'm going to go with Minnesota to win and cover here because Chicago just is so unreliable, and their defense can only do so much for them. So Minnesota is gonna have a great day on offense, and they're gonna get the stops that they need. That's it. Marissa?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Minnesota to win and cover here too.
Clean sweep. And this is a Monday night game, by the way.
Yes.
And this closes out this week's schedule. So everybody has Minnesota to win and cover.
All right.
And the
So-
bye teams this week are the Jets, Kansas City, Dallas, and Atlanta. So there's a good thing about this week. I got to say Dallas won't lose.
Yeah, Dallas won't lose, and Kansas City won't win.
Yeah,
So
and the
those-
Jets won't. No, Jets
They're
won't,
still
won't lose also this week.
No, they're still losers.
Yeah.
Do you think they can go? Actually, one question before we end this: do you think they'll go 0-16?
I haven't looked at the schedule, but they're a crappy team, you know. But you know what though? That was with Donald. If Joe Flacco, if he remains a quarterback, they have a better chance.
No, even Darnold isn't that bad either. Darnold's actually pretty good.
He hasn't been that good.
But Flacco hasn't been that good either. In the other two games that he's played, I think with the Jets, he's been pretty bad.
I think if out of the two quarterbacks, I think he's one that's going to get a win.
I'd rather lean with Darnold. So I think their next best chance is against New England in Week 17. That's gonna be their last chance. Marissa, do you think they can go? Do you think they'll go on 16?
I'm still mad at them for because I picked them to win and they didn't. But I think they can do. I think they can get one win.
All right. I hope it's not against the Raiders because the Raiders do play them in December. So of course, Raiders are a much better team, and I know how they can come up with ways to beat them. But either way, I am gonna go. I think it's gonna be 0-16. They're gonna have a chance against New England. It's gonna be really close, but they're gonna lose in heartbreaking fashion. And that concludes our episode for the week. We hope you guys really enjoyed it. We sure did, right, guys?
Of course, every week.
I think I saw you shaking your head there. But either way, yeah, have fun and good night.